back just about myself. I relocated about 6 months back to Bangalore, and I head an engineering group here that builds one of Microsoft's newest products. It's called Microsoft Teams. It's a part of Office 365. It's set to be the primary face of Office 365. So it's what Microsoft calls an hub application. So whether it's you're doing calendaring, meetings, documents, collaboration on any surface, emails, chat, all of that, this is the Microsoft going forward product, so that's a part of my introduction. Getting started, I want to actually start with a story. We live in very interesting days, as you know, and as engineers, all we care about is to build stuff. And we want to build stuff that creates value, value for customers, in turn, value for stakeholders or shareholders in our organizations that we work, which advances technology because it gets applied and it goes on. That's the wheel that moves humankind's evolution. So in that, I just want to, for engineers here, most people I believe would be, I wanted to just tell a old story. This is almost 4 years back that it happened, but it just shows us the immense amount of value we as engineers can create. And I just want to quickly tell the story and then go on to it. So you see these cows in a cattle farm, and you see that parameter on the leg of the cow. And the question is, do cows also need to take 10,000 steps every day? And the point is, the point here about this story is, every company is a data company. Even the most what we think is backward of companies or organizations or industries, such as a cattle farm. And this thing happened because a cattle farmer in Japan had a problem. And let's talk about that problem. Only if the clicker would work. So what's the challenge for a farmer, cattle farmer? The biggest challenge for a cattle farmer is, how do they increase the population of the cattle? How do they have more cattle production and grow their farm? And how does one do it really? I didn't know, but apparently you do artificial insemination. And to do artificial insemination, the first thing is the farmer has to find out when the cow is in heat and do it at that time. And it's really hard. How does the poor farmer do it? Because that thing is, only in 21 days you get a 12-hour window. And even that is mostly at night when the poor farmer should be sleeping. How is the poor farmer going to, who has thousands of cattle in their farm, go and find when to do this? So they went and talked to some people at Fujitsu. And Fujitsu came over to talk to people in Azure. And that's how I came to know about the problem. Hey, how does a farmer tell when the time is right to do artificial insemination of hundreds of cows? And of course, these guys naturally went off and did some kind of analysis. They figured out that the cow step pattern is pretty predictable. But when the cow goes into heat, you can see that there is a pattern change. Extremely easy for us to detect this kind of a pattern. And that's when the estrus is detected. And that's when you actually do artificial insemination. And then there comes ML and AI. Hey, we can easily look at these patterns and predict when to do AI, as in artificial insemination, using AI as in artificial intelligence. And then what happens? As they started exploring it further, they found that they can even help the farmer control whether the calf is going to be a female or a male by timing it right. The probability of a female increases if you do 4 hours before the optimal time, and that of a male if you do 4 hours after the optimal time. Wonderful. Now the poor farmer, he is lucky. He can sleep at night. All he's going to get is a text message saying cow number 2347 is in heat. Did you want a female or a male, by the way? And probably he has given that setting before. He said, like, I want more male. And it automatically just tells him, wakes him up, or tells him just go and do that thing. And not only that, they continued this work. They started analyzing the milk of the cow, and they found 8 to 10 diseases that they can detect from that. And I was super impressed that we could accomplish all of these things. Fujitsu could take our tech and build all of this stuff so rapidly. And what an amazing change it is for the farmer. For thousands of cows, the guy was running around at night looking who is pacing faster kind of thing, and suddenly the world changes. And we thought that the cattle farm is massively a backward thing. Just want to chime in one more story as I said this. I was at a conference at MIT and doing a talk. After the talk, somebody comes up to me and says that they lead a telecom company in Africa, some country, sub-Saharan Africa, and I forget the name of the country. And the person says, I'm like, okay. I was not sort of like expecting him to dazzle me with the kind of technology they're doing. Again, that's my own bias, I guess. And he went on to tell me where they're applying AI. He said, we're a vast country, lot of forest land, and telephone wires get encroached upon by trees. And our customers call us, and we have to send a truck to track where exactly is the mess. And this is very expensive for us and very bad for our customers. We have been trying all kinds of solutions using satellite imagery to predict which tree is going to grow and mess up with our telephone lines. Never succeeded. Went and finally mounted cameras on each of the poles, and now we have a complete system which predicts which tree is going to damage the telephone lines. And we send out a truck with a schedule of going and chopping up branches way before this happens. Now, this is Africa. I don't think even in the US they do that stuff. I would like my city in the US to be doing that. So that is just to say that we are at a point in technology where, in the industry, where ML, AI, big data, and a bunch of those things, cognitive technologies in recognition of all types, have reached a point where the innovation is way ahead of engineers applying it to create value. And that's a good thing for engineers like us because, hey, never before in the history of technology or industry, you had that much opportunity to say, I don't need innovators to innovate anything more. Still, I have a huge amount of value creation to build and deliver to customers, to stakeholders, and to shareholders. And that's an amazing thing. And the related thing why I picked the cattle example and the Africa example was it's equalizing across industries. It's equalizing across geographies. It's the beauty of where we are, and we can we just have our work cut out. We can go and build. Having left that story, I want to quickly have you imagine this world. I believe this is very plausible. On the right-hand side is a painting of I think. Garden of Eden or Utopia or whatever you call it. And I believe that we are very likely to be in a scenario in 20 to 25 years where robots do all of the work, almost most of the work. Now, when I say robots, I don't mean necessarily mechanized things. They could be software. I don't think we have a really good word for automation. But it's very likely that robots would be doing most of the work. And the governments will make sure that they don't lose revenue out of this, because that's one thing they care about. If the workforce doesn't work, oh, maybe they could care less, but they need that income tax coming back. And I guess they'll make sure to protect their revenue that each of them enact laws that forces any mechanized labor, wherever they're used, to have equal amount of income taxes to be paid to the government, what would have been paid if there were human employees. So my guess is we'll be in a situation where the earnings of nations isn't going to fall, but the work would be done by non-humans, mostly. And the third thing that's very likely is that much of basic necessities of mankind, housing, healthcare, food, transportation, at a basic level, not the fancy, fancy food or fancy housing, or all kinds of healthcare, but your general physician, your common routine tests, your common procedures and surgeries, and your basic housing and basic transportation, etc., should be automated fully. Hence, going to be very cheap. Hence, it's likely to be free for all citizens. So, we always worry about, hey, these robots are going to come and take away our jobs. Got to think, why do we worry? Are we worrying because of sustenance, that we won't have a job to feed our families? Are we worrying about fulfillment? Then I won't have a job that I don't have anything to do, and I'll get bored, and I won't have intellectual growth. I think that's the reflection we need to have. I think the world probably has been more worried about job losses, hence sustenance aspects. I don't anticipate that. I anticipate this situation, and I just wanted to leave this thought for you all as to, if this was the world, would you like it? It doesn't sound like utopia to me. And it's eventuality, I believe. So how do we mentally prepare? What is it that we like or dislike, and what do we do today if we have to change? Having said that, let's talk about certain other things. Let's just get some perspective about what's really going on in the technology world, and I will try to limit myself to computing. I'm not going to talk about genetics, which is a huge area where I think the changes are going to be very, very, very impactful for the world. So what we have, of course, seen is the innovation in ML/AI, all kinds of cognitive capabilities, robotics and sensors and big data, has created a massive opportunity for all kinds of other things to happen on top of it. And we're just scratching the surface. I mean, it's immense. I talked to, before my current role, I had started and I was leading Microsoft's machine learning product group. And when I was doing that, and that particular thing you saw about the Fujitsu thing and the cattle thing happened when I was doing Azure ML. In that role, I saw a lot of companies, and when I would talk to them and see how they're thinking about applying technology, it was mind-boggling. I could not have thought that the technology I was building could be applied to that. So the beauty of all of these is not in the ML, AI, robotics, and cognition. It is what it does for the world, what it does for industries, what it does for people and customers, and how does it really create value and benefits for all of us. So no question, this is big. But I wanted to just go and talk about some ways that we are seeing change Like it, don't like it, but we'll have our perspectives about it. So, right there you see McDonald's in Phoenix is completely run by robots today. So, MacRobot. Of course, there's nothing surprising about it. The technology could have achieved it much before it is done. The bottom one is the world's first autonomous, staffless, and mobile store. Can you see the wheels? It's a self-driving store. It's a staffless and a self-driving store in China. So the store is going to come to you and be staffless. So all of this is basically saying we are entering a period of extreme automation, and it's going to rapidly get faster and faster. We here in India are going to be much more protected. I mean, protected is a wrong word, depends how we look at it, whether we want it or not, but India is not expected to be more than 1/6 or 1/7 job losses due to automation in the next 15 years, whereas countries like US are expecting a third of their jobs lost to automation by 2030. Increasingly, a lot of more intellectual work is getting automated. I must tell you this, I don't know how I'm doing for time. Somebody should stop me but I can otherwise go on with my stories. I won't name the company, but this is one of the world's largest, I don't know what you call, maybe financial consulting, I don't know what. This company does audit of quarterly reports of most of the Fortune 500 companies, about a half, I guess. And the CTO of this company told me they have been working on something for 10 years. And he was hesitant in first telling me what it was, and he wanted our involvement with that. And when I found out what it was that auditing of quarterly reports is a very, very intellectual thing. Really requires top-notch, CPAs who charge this company a lot of money. This company makes a lot of revenue from that, but its cost basis is very high. And it has been attempting for 10 years to see if it can automate that. That was scary for me. I mean, this is the highest end of, one of the higher end of, intellectual work humans do. And there is this company working for 10 years, and they will be successful sooner or later to automate that. So that's the kind of thing we all should be thinking about. And the point there is automation of labor is not new. That's been happening from the beginning of industrialization throughout. But this time it's different because it's not automation of labor as in manual labor. It's increasingly getting into human judgment and doctors, whatever they do is very automatable. So everything, and we are, as a world, we are unclear where are we going to get the gains in jobs that will help us mitigate that. Quickly on societal impact, what we are seeing, very clearly, I think we might have had Trump as a byproduct of technology. I mean, I'm not sure, but it's a very likely thing that the technology gave us Trump. We didn't have technology as advanced, and the social, or Google and Facebook had considered this attack surface before and closed it, the world might have been different. And every day we see the impact of that. It's in the news every day. It's impacting the world in a big way every day. We already know apps and websites know more about us, know our inner aspects, attributes, what we desire, what we love, what we want, more than our near and dear ones know. So, warfare, we're really worried. Where is the ethics with drones and things like that? Where is the world going? Because there's very little accountability. It'll be a mafia or a mob all over the world with extreme high power if this technology advances. And the most worrying thing in this respect is that this is all getting more and more. This rate of change is going to only increase. So my take is we'll continue to see more attack surfaces on technology. Tech companies will continue to build the defenses, don't worry. Laws and regulations will catch up, and we will survive. What I talked about before, business models and industrial operations will continue to transform, to optimize, not just in the highest end of industries, but as we saw even in the cattle industry. With all of that, I want to close out quickly. Here, I wanted to share a couple of my perspectives, where technology in the computing world is headed. I think we will get to a serverless model very quickly. The power of sensors, the power of computing power that we can get in devices will get us out of this current, central cloud model to a very decentralized edge model, and we will go into new programming models. We have to invent new programming models. Maybe what we were thinking in the 70s and 80s, we have to go back to them for the next generation of computing. We are already seeing things like blockchain and other things which are bringing decentralized models. So we will get to a decentralized model for identity, trust, and governance, just like the social society we live in does. One of the pressure points I see is we haven't yet, while we have done a lot of work in ML and AI, the world hasn't created automated systems that can discover and learn. That's how humans learn. We haven't given that capability to machines. So we'll start seeing some amount of standardization, schematization, common lingua, let's say, that allows understanding of entities that more complex systems can be automatically discovered and learned. I am not going to predict superintelligence. I believe superintelligence is not going to happen. I believe you need supernatural abilities, which we humans don't possess, to give that. So robots are not going to take over. Robots need biology, not computer science, because humans have purpose. Robots will never have purpose. That's the fundamental thing. They don't have the biology. So computer science can't compensate for biology. So don't worry about that possibility. My ask for engineers, something I said earlier. We are at a point in the industry and in our technology evolution where there is umpteen opportunity to create value in front of us with advances already made. So just go and build. Work is cut out for us. Second thing I'll say is technology is going to have immense impact on our civilization. So initially, if you did bad tech, it wasn't really impacting the world negatively that way because technology was on the periphery. That's changing very rapidly. So I really plead that, be super conscientious. Do tech for good. Bring ethics into tech. With that, thank you for, being so nice to listen to me, and it's an honor to come here and present. Thank you very much, and thank you to the Zinnov folks.